Hi there, and welcome back to rLounge. When does no mean no? Setting boundaries in any relationship is healthy, especially when it comes to your mother-in-law. Today we watch a brave new mama learn her first word, no. Just venting about my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law is generally a sweet lady. She's extremely sensitive and has like zero boundaries, so when you do try to set them, it's taken personally because she's a sensitive person. Lots of things have been irritating me lately, and it might be the fact that I'm extremely pregnant and hormones that they're irritating me more. First, my mom and sister are throwing me a baby shower. She's told me multiple times not to have a shower, but I don't know why she cares because she's not throwing it. And now she hasn't even mentioned if she was coming. Offered my mom help, not that she needs to, but it's very common in my culture for the husband's family to cover some sort of expenses such as desserts or cake for something like this, or anything. She stopped by yesterday while I was making an acrylic sign for the shower, and I showed it to her, and she didn't care or even acknowledge it or the shower. Next, she stops by all the time, and by that I mean she shows up to my house constantly to drop food off or drop off some of her old junk I always tell her I don't want, and she has my garage code from when she dropped something off when me and husband weren't home. I told husband I'm changing the garage code when the baby gets here because I don't want anyone walking in while I'm breastfeeding, and his mom never calls first when we ask her to. He's on board, but I'm dreading the day she stops by and can't get in with the code. There's more, but I could be going on for days. End of rant. Our first reaction comes from BritB15. Change the code now. Let her have her blow up before baby gets here. Enforce your boundary before baby gets here. It will do her some good to learn how she's expected to behave in a respectful manner before you have a baby she feels entitled to. She already feels entitled to your home and pregnancy. Don't let her even try to act entitled to your baby. Freya, not my real name, says, change the code now. Lock the door and tell her she needs to call in advance if she wants to come over to make sure you're okay with it now. It's up to you when you want visitors, not her. She might be sensitive, but tough, that doesn't override the need for boundaries or excuse her from breaking them either. If a boundary is broken, think about what limits you want to set. If you want to make it easier, you could tell her everyone in the family on both sides and friends are being given a list of guidelines to try to make it easier once the baby arrives. Above all, don't get caught in jade. Justify, argue, defend, or explain. A no means no, the why doesn't matter. So, no kissing the baby. The doctors have advised against this so baby doesn't catch something while they're developing an immune system. All visits need to be planned. We know people want to see us and the baby, but as we're getting used to this, for the first 2 weeks, we want family time, then we will let people know when suits us. We don't mind if people want to offer to bring something, but please don't be offended if we say no. Everyone is already so generous and we appreciate the time you come to visit more than anything. Please wash hands when you come to visit, and if possible, please don't smoke before holding the baby. They have weak lungs and need all the help they can get to be healthy as they grow. Everyone needs to have their vaccinations of XYZ as recommended by the doctors, especially if you're due in flu season. Think about whatever else you want from there, but don't back down on anything. The OP replies, oh yeah, I'm totally not afraid to say things to her. I just dread it because she either doesn't follow or will do some silly loophole. For example, my husband works a lot. I work 3 to 4 days a week, so her way of getting around the calling me to stop by is to call him. He's at work and relays the message that she's stopping by, but he's not the one who's home and has to drop everything when she comes. Last time she did this, I purposely ran an errand an hour early, so I just happened to be walking out when she came and didn't even let her inside. I'm sure she hated that one. Yikes, OP. Honestly, set the boundaries now. Be harsh and be firm, or else you're never going to have your own privacy again. She may think that she's doing all of this from a place of love, but if it's not received that way, then she needs to understand that. You're not responsible for her feelings. If she gets upset because she's sensitive, then that's on her, not you. Update. Yet another mother-in-law event. I'm due in 3 weeks with mine and my husband's first baby, a boy. Hospital policy is only one support person while laboring and one person at a time, up to 3 people each day in the postpartum unit. If anyone wants to visit, my husband would have to leave the hospital. There's no waiting room for them to visit. I just told everyone, my family and his, that they aren't allowing visitors. I won't make him leave the room for my family, and I do not want to be stuck alone in the room with his mom or dad and the baby. Well, guess who looked up the hospital rules? My sister-in-law, and told everyone. So I told them, yeah, but husband will have to leave the room, and my doctor says as long as there aren't any complications, we'll be there for 24 hours at the most. We will call you on the way home, and you can meet us there. My mother-in-law is being so dramatic about it. My mom told me no problem. I'll clean your house and make sure there's a meal ready for you when you come home. My mother-in-law has called me, my mom, and both my sister-in-laws and keeps asking,
What is she supposed to do while we're at the hospital?
And she keeps saying she's going to show up or wait in the parking lot. My mom told her to go to our house and help her get it ready for us, but she doesn't want to. I've explicitly told her we'll only be there for a day multiple times and just to wait till we get home, but she won't stop. I told her if we happen to have to stay any longer and my husband wants to go home for a little that we'll tell her to visit. A white lie because I would call my mom or sister, but she doesn't have to know that. I was just trying to get her off my back about this. It's getting ridiculous at this point. My husband would tell her the same thing, but she only complains to me about it and hasn't said anything to him. I haven't asked him to because at this point, I'm playing a game called How Many Times Can I Repeat the Same Thing to This Lady for her to understand? We've got more reactions. First one from One Hot Epileptic. After reading this, you may want to wait on announcing the birth to the in-laws until you're back at home the next day. Blue Moon Wisteria says, oh boy. First of all, assuming everything goes well and there are no complications, your time in the hospital will be brief and already packed with bonding, feeding, and newborn tests. There's no need for anyone else to be there. You are already likely to be overwhelmed and exhausted. Any downtime that would allow for a visit should be spent sleeping. Mother-in-law needs to chill. I would also caution you to avoid making any homecoming visit plans before you know how you are going to feel. My parents dropped by the day we got home from the hospital to leave some food and flowers, and even that brief interaction was too much in my opinion. My baby was trying to latch and was screaming, and I was exhausted in pain, and navigating any kind of conversation was not on my list of crap to do. Your spouse should tell his mom that you will contact her when you guys are ready for a visit. No surprise visits will be entertained. Your husband needs to put his foot down. She's being ridiculous. Also, postpartum time is extremely important to a new mom. It's vital that you take care of yourself and that you're kind and patient with the healing process. I wouldn't even have visitors for the first 2 weeks if I were you, OP. You don't want to surround yourself with people who are going to stress you out in such a fragile time. Update. In-laws and newborn. My beautiful baby is 3 weeks old and my in-laws, I posted about them before, are the worst. They're so reckless about things with him and I have nowhere to vent about it. The first day I came home from the hospital, both my and my husband's immediate family came to see the baby, which I was fine with. I actually loved it. They came and brought food, did my laundry, etc. I took a nice long shower. I was also in a daze and didn't realize my sister-in-law told her cousin to come and bring their school-aged kids who just played outside the whole time until the next day. Very annoying, but I wasn't annoyed till after the fact. A couple days later, my sister-in-law, who lives with my mother-in-law and father-in-law, tested positive for COVID, and I also was feeling sick. Thankfully, I tested negative, and I was pumping and feeding breast milk at the time, so me and baby were fine, but it was an anxiety-ridden week making sure he wasn't sick. My mother-in-law kept trying to come over while her daughter that lived in her house had COVID. I told her she can't come, he's a newborn, and we'll regroup after the 2-week quarantine period was up. After 5 days, she calls me and asks if she can come see him now. I said no, like I said, 2 weeks. Her response,
Well, the quarantine is 5 days now.
yes, for people with immune systems. My sister-in-law, who doesn't live with them, kept trying to come over even though she's always at her parents' house and hanging out with sister-in-law, who had COVID. After 4 times of repeating myself and also saying that this is what the pediatrician said, I conveniently was busy anytime she tried to come by or invited me over. 2-week period was up on Sunday, so my mother-in-law came over and brought breakfast, which was nice. Husband and mother-in-law stayed with the baby while I went to get my nails done. I came home to a full-size blanket covering my baby, dirty dishes in the sink, and in the basin I soaked my baby's bottles and passies in, and a burnt tea bag with ashes all over my stove. I snatched that blanket off real quick and said absolutely no blankets, swaddles only. Her response,
Well, he was cold and I didn't know where your stuff is.
okay, so ask me or my husband. I went and told my husband because he was upstairs, and he said he got her a swaddle, so I don't know why the F she didn't use it. She insists on feeding the baby a bottle, but she basically waterboards him and doesn't burp him after, so he's a spit-up, uncomfortable, gassy mess after. She also fights me on washing her hands like a toddler when she wants to hold the baby. It's always,
I just washed them at home. I was doing the dishes. My hands are in water all day.
okay, well, you're still going to wash them again. There's more, but God. It's like they listen to me, but try their hardest to push every boundary thinking that I'll just give in. Yikes. I would have lost it. She's literally not helping you in any way. In fact, she's making it much worse and totally putting unnecessary stress on you. You and your husband need to be on the same page right now. It's vital. Update. My mother-in-law keeps trying to play mom. So I've always had boundary issues with my mother-in-law. I feel like I was good with maintaining them before I had a baby. I've tried to be close with her, but if you give this lady an inch, she takes a mile, so we have a relationship at a distance. But man, oh man, since having a baby, all the hard work on boundaries for the past 5 years seems to have gone out the window. She doesn't listen to anything I say and wants to be called Mama, her name. Thinks she knows everything about my baby and tries to show up to my house constantly. A couple weeks ago, she called and asked to come over. I had friends coming to visit the baby and I told her it wasn't a good day. Around the same time my guests were coming, I hear a knock on the door and guess who's in my face? Mother-in-law. Pissed. Anytime we go anywhere, she tries to snatch my baby out of my arms and stands over my head while I'm taking care of my son. It's overbearing and annoying. Everything she does, she says,
He needs this. He's doing this because of this.
And I'll respond with what he actually needs, and she does everything in her power to prove she's right, even if that means making my baby uncomfortable. It's like she's trying to prove she knows my baby better than me. She calls herself my baby's second mom. No, you're his grandma. He's starting to social smile, and I sent her a video, and while visiting them today, she was trying to get him to smile, and he wouldn't. Cue the comparisons.
Why won't you smile for me like you smile for your mom?
If she tries to rock him to sleep and can't settle him,
why won't you sleep in my arms, but you will for your mom?
Because I'm his mom. We were at the park the other day, and her daughter's son got stung by a bee, passed out, and started throwing up when we got there. Yet she still only was concerned with me and my baby and kept trying to take him and shoo me away. It gives me the ick so bad and makes me want to leave him with her even less. Sorry for the long rant. No one else to vent to about this. Edit. I don't ever leave him alone with her. That happened once, even while husband was home, so not fully alone. And I will never again for other reasons besides the carelessness and safety issues. So I guess I want her around him even less. I feel like you're not wrong to want that, OP. I wouldn't want her around my child either. It sounds like she's getting worse. Update. My mother-in-law is trying to play mom. Quick update. We had a Labor Day barbecue, which I couldn't avoid seeing her at, and yes, she was annoying, but I held my boundaries very firm. He wouldn't take a pacifier from her, and I gave it to him, and he took it. Cue the,
I've tried to give it to him and he didn't want it.
And I answered back, yeah, he just wanted his mama. My mom was also there, and she was standing over her head the whole time, waiting to snatch him from her, but my mom knows how I feel, so she also kept her in check. When he went to sleep, there was a room right inside from where we were hanging out outside, and I mentioned to my mom that I'm going to put him in there so we can both check on him periodically. Cue mother-in-law over saying,
well, he's not going to be in Egypt. He'll be fine.
I answered back, yes, exactly why I'm putting him in there, and me and my mom are going to check on him. When I went to check on him, stroller was gone. She moved him to the other side of the room, closer to where she was. I grabbed the stroller, moved him back, and told her not to do that again, that I, his mother, am on the other side, and that's where I want him. She left the area to go help her other daughter for once. She's still trying me, but I'm not holding back anymore. Next is another boundary issue. Her favorite thing to do is to try to throw her 3-day-old food leftovers on me because 1, she's a cheap butt, and 2, it makes it seem like she's helping, but 99% of the time, it goes in the garbage and is an extra thing for me to clean, an excuse for her to come back so soon to get her pot or Tupperware, etc. She called me yesterday to see if she could drop it today, and I said, I'm not sure, I'm really busy. If I'm in the area, I'll pick it up. I had no intentions of doing this, and she asked for my garage code 3 times to
drop it off and put it in the fridge.
The lady just wanted my code because she's asked for it before, and I've told her she doesn't need it. I said no. Like I said, if I'm in the area, I'll pick it up. She finally gave up. I didn't contact her at all today because I don't want her food, and she texted me to pick it up. I didn't answer her. Told my husband to get it if he wants it, or handle it himself because neither of us wanted her food. Haven't answered or heard from her since. The community has some thoughts. Outside Thought 1 says, if you can't get away from the leftovers thing, I suggest putting said leftovers in some container of your own as soon as she hands it over, and giving her the dirty one on the spot for her to take home. You could wash it if you feel she might get annoying about the dirty container. You'll still have some cleaning to do, but you won't have any excuse to come back, which could actually make her stop doing it altogether. Disletchable says, the 3 times rule. If something inconveniences you 3 times, you give it a permanent fix. Mother-in-law, I do not want your leftovers. They always get thrown away, and it's dishes I don't need. Please don't offer them again. Mother-in-law, we are not giving our garage door code to anyone, including you. If she will throw a fit, then do it over text and ignore her until she's finished. Update. This is small, but it felt like a win. So my mother-in-law loves to play mom and has no boundaries, as you can see if you see my last posts. I've been ignoring her all week, and she texted me yesterday.
I need to see the baby. I'm coming over.
And I told her I'm not home. Husband is home tomorrow too, Either you can come here tomorrow or we'll visit you. She responded,
I guess I'm free all day.
So she kept listing all she had to do, and I cut her off and said, okay, so you're coming tomorrow? And she goes,
Oh, what's tomorrow? Sunday? I'm free all day.
again. So I said, okay, 1 o'clock is a good time. And she said,
Okay, I guess.
she was pissed I didn't give in to her coming whenever she felt like it. She actually texted me around 1 and said,
Can I come now? Is it a good time?
so I gave the baby to my husband, took a long shower with lots of lotions and scrubs, did my hair and makeup, used my fancy lotions, and when I came down, she was still there. Which, whatever, I said hello. She right away said,
I'm looking for this Halloween costume and I can't find any baby stuff. It's all for toddlers.
it's my baby's first Halloween, so I obviously want to pick out the costume. I told her, well, I'm picking out the costume, so don't keep looking. And she made a face and stayed quiet. I said I had things to do and left the room. And she left. It was glorious. I didn't spend more than 5 minutes with her, and I shut her down. The community reacts some more. iMission Bill 953 says, yes for both boundaries and long showers. P-False P-Flag chimes in, don't sell yourself short. That was definitely a successful boundary enforcement. And the best part is, it will make you more confident in enforcing future boundaries. Akuzetsu Naomi says, good for you. I need to do the same. My mother-in-law frickin' buys everything for my first daughter, 9 months, and I'm currently pregnant again. Worried this is going to be a forever thing. She pays $200 or more every couple of months to go and take my daughter to get professional photo shoots done. Every time she babysits, which is really her begging my husband for 1 or 2 weeks straight every day to see my daughter, yet she refuses to text and ask me at all. What the F? Daughter comes home with 3 to 4 bags of new clothes, toys, food, etc. from mother-in-law. She got pissed when I said no, she couldn't take my daughter to the zoo for her very first zoo, or any big outdoor park visit. Husband said, why don't we all go together? And she went silent. That witch hates me. Honestly, feels like she's trying to replace me as the mother. Disgusts me. Lady Paralandra says, imagine telling literally anyone else that you've already bought their baby's first Halloween costume without asking. Would she feel comfortable buying baby's first Halloween costume for any other family member? Why can't grandparents ever understand that they are extended family and not mommy superior? I think when we're creating boundaries, sometimes it's important to just say no. When we sort of dance around the topic, we don't become clear enough. These people need clear boundaries. Just the simple word no should be enough. And if they ask why or they start getting weird about it, just simply say, because I said no. Or repeat yourself, no. You don't owe anyone an explanation for your own boundaries. Once you do that, they start to learn and get the hint. Good on you for sticking to your guns. This will continue to get better. How would you handle this crazy mother-in-law? And thank you for joining us today on rLounge. Before you go, be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell. If you have something you want to say regarding today's content, share that with us in the comments below. Until next time.